Hello everyone, I'm Jeremy Geckner with the Front Row Movie Reviews, and this is your weekly box office report with stats from our friends over at BoxOfficeMojo.com. It was a big weekend for newcomers as 3 of them made it into the top 5, being led at the number 1 spot by Tyler Perry's Boo 2: A Madea Halloween. This grossed $21.6 million in its opening weekend here, and this is, believe it or not, the 17th film that Tyler Perry has directed as Madea, and it is the 8th highest grossing of those 17 films. So the last one of these movies had a pretty good legs to get to a $70 million total run. Let's see what this one has the ability to do. Coming at number 2 this week is another newcomer, the action thriller Geostorm, starring Gerard Butler. This brought in $13.3 million in its first weekend, and that's got to be a big disappointment for Warner Brothers. They spent $150 million on the production budget for this action pick. Coming at number 3 this week was Happy Death Day from Blumhouse. Last week's champion brought in another $9.3 million to bring its U.S. total up to $40 million. And you gotta hand it to Jason Blum and Blumhouse Pictures. This movie cost $4.8 million to make, and it has now grossed 10 times that nearly. This is just what Blumhouse does. They just keep churning these types of things out and making a lot of money off of them. Coming at number 4 this week is the sci-fi action sequel Blade Runner 2049. It brought in another $7.1 million, and that brings its U.S. total up to $74 million. Now, that would be considered a very, very low and bomb-like number for Warner Brothers if it wasn't for the international market saving this film. Coupled with that $120 million overseas, it has now made over $194 million total. And closing out the top 5 this week is Only the Brave. Now, this is a true story about the people who fight wildfires out west, and it stars Josh Brolin, and it brought in $6 million in its opening weekend. Now, that's not a very big opening, but then again, it only opened on 2,500 screens across the country. I'm Jeremy Geckner. Hey, head on over to the FrontRowMovieReviews.com where you can find all the rest of our videos, our quick minute reviews, our front row news segments, and of course, all of the podcasts that you're used to hearing. This week, you're going to be hearing the next episode of Beyond the Mouse on Tower of Terror. That's right, the Steve Guttenberg, Kirsten Dunst classic. You'll also be getting the next Monster Cast. This one is going to be on the creature feature, The Descent. And then, of course, you've got Discovering Star Trek. And then on Friday, the next episode of Zonasodes and Are You Afraid of the Podcast. And also dropping this week, a very special episode of Zonasodes in the main feed, as it is a Season 1 recap. Brandon and Scott have made it all the way through Season 1, and now they are reliving their favorite moments from the first season of The Twilight Zone. I'm Jeremy Geckner, and as always, we will see you in the front row.